For our research study, we examined the applicability of IMUs to collect clinically relevant gait data. With myself, Sami Purcell, Emily Zoll, and Olivia Willman, we worked alongside Jeffrey Haddad.
Throughout the last year, we have seen a large increase of the popularity of at-home health services like telemedicine due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Previous studies have been conducted using inertial measurement units, which we are going to reference as IMUs, to analyze mobility, balance, and gait patterns outside the lab. IMUs are an inexpensive option and have the ability to be portable, which makes them very, very desirable. The purpose of our study is to gather information that will help us better understand the types of information that we can obtain from IMUs and to develop data analysis routines needed to interpret IMU data from human motor behaviors. We will specifically be using the data we collect in order to score the functional gait assessment, which we will reference as the FGA, which is a test commonly used by physical therapists to assess gait patterns.
Our hypothesis for this study is to measure the gait metric derived from IMUs that can be used to capture clinically relevant gait dynamics while performing the functional gait assessment. For our research, we had participants do 11 different conditions for 2 different blocks. The image on the right is an example of where the IMUs were placed on the participants. They were placed on both ankles, the waist, and the forehead. We had the subjects wait about 5 seconds before and after each condition so we could easily tell when the walking took place when we went to analyze the data. The IMUs collected linear acceleration Euler angles. The list on the left is the 10 different conditions of the FGA, and we added trial 7 so we could see the change in gait pattern between a higher obstacle and a lower obstacle. This video is an example of one of the trials, the gait pivot and turn. You will see the participant suddenly turn when instructed to.
In our study, our dependent variables include gait symmetry, balance, and velocity. Gait symmetry is complex and can be measured through variables like stride time, swing time, stance time, and more. We are still determining which variables are the most relevant while scoring the FGA.
Along with the IMU data, we video recorded each participant so we could cross-reference the IMU data later. We used both a frontal and sagittal view. For each trial, we coded the start and end time to find the duration, the start foot, plant foot, number of steps taken with each foot, time that verbal cues were given, and gait pattern abnormalities. Some examples of verbal cues are when we cued them to change speed, pivot and turn, or come down the stairs. Examples of gait abnormalities are if the participant walked outside the track, wobbled, or had a stutter in their step. In the future, we will use this information to score each trial based on the FGA test. The IMU data gave us much more specific timestamps than the videos down to the millisecond. For IMU sensors 1 and 2, we looked at the z-axis graphs of linear acceleration to find the start and end time of each trial. For all 4 sensors, we looked at the Excel sheets to find the first timestamp and then the total rows of timestamp data. Along with the video and IMU coding, we included the linear acceleration z-axis graphs of sensors 1 and 2 into our data sheets.
The first variable we will talk about is gait symmetry. To measure gait symmetry, we will be examining the duration of the stride, swing, and stance phases of the gait cycle. We are specifically looking for any differences between the right and left sides of the body. Below is a graphic that shows the different stages of the gait cycle.
When determining if a participant had symmetry in their walking, we plotted their linear acceleration from the IMUs along the z-axis. The orange line is the left ankle linear acceleration, and the blue line is the right ankle linear acceleration. The peaks represent when the foot hits the ground, which is also known as the stance phase. And anytime the line crosses the x-axis, the foot is in swing phase. In an ideal gait, the peaks should be equal in magnitude and duration. The swing phase should be equal in duration for complete symmetry. Anything deviated from this would be considered asymmetric.
The next variable that we will be looking at is linear acceleration. This variable was directly recorded by the IMUs. We will be looking at linear acceleration in all of the trials, but we are specifically interested in examining the changes in linear acceleration in condition 2 of the FGA. This condition was the change in gait speed, where the subject started walking at a normal speed, was instructed to walk fast and then was instructed to walk slow. So in this graph to your right, you can see that when the subject starts walking, they have a normal speed, and then it spikes because they started walking faster, and then it goes back down to a slow linear acceleration.
Next semester, we will start collecting data in an older population to compare it to the data from the college student population we already have. We will also continue to analyze the data like we began doing this semester. Our goal is to see if we can use IMUs for at-home data collection. From this study, we expect to find that the younger population, which is our control group, has a more symmetric gait and a greater linear acceleration than the older population. The asymmetries that we expect to find in the older population would cause them to score lower on the FGA scale. Here are our citations. Thank you all for a great semester.